So one of the videos I put up recently was about backing a horse, and there were actually two versions of pretty much the same sort of video. One was backing it and laying it in the anticipation that the price comes in, and the other one was using the margin maker rather, to back at a higher price expecting the price to drift. Now, when you do a strategy within a market, my mantra is for every market there's a strategy and every strategy a market. And it's important that you vary the two, because the hardest thing to find is a strategy that just generally works pretty well. But the funny thing is that's what everybody's looking for. Everybody just says, just show me one thing that I can do that will make me money. And the fact is, it's actually quite hard to have one strategy that just works beautifully across every market. You have to vary it and you have to mix it up. So on horse racing, it's pretty obvious that if you look at all of the variables within racing, that you can match a strategy or a style or a interpretation of a particular strategy according to the market, because there are many variables. First thing, if we look at a card, you've got different race courses. Different race courses have different characteristics, especially in play. If you go to Chester, there's a strong draw bias. If you're at Sandown, you've got to run up a hill to finish the race. So each course has, variable characteristics. They will produce different payoffs depending upon the strategy that you're using in play. I think that's fairly obvious. But also, when you go into an individual race as well, what you'll be able to do is have a look at the form of that particular horse as well, and get an understanding of basically how it's run. So you can see here, we've got basically the number of starts, the wins on the going, but we've also got information on what happened here. Chase leaders went 2 out, led, were not fluent, blah 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 blah. There's lots of notes and hints and stuff in here as well, so you can get a good feel for what's going on. But of course, getting all that information into a format that you can use is quite difficult. But I've been using Proform now ever since I got interested in. I was trying to do a particular strategy, and as I was testing it, I began to realize that there was something going on that I'd never spotted before, and it must be related to form. And therefore, I needed to get something that would allow me to look at form. And the software that I've been using for a little while now, which you may have noticed, is Proform. And the reason I'm using that is because of the way it displays information and the way you can search and apply things to it. It's very, very good for that. So if we look at this race at Ayr, obviously there'll be characteristics relating to how the race is run based upon the race course, but also upon the type of race that it is as well. But also, it's going to be a factor of how the horses are run as well. So if we look at Proform, it will tell you a lot of information about that. So the first thing that's handy is it gives you an estimated market pricing. So you can log into Proform the night before and it will say to you, here are the odds that we expect to see the market populated with. From that point onwards, obviously, anything can happen, especially if the weather changes. But nonetheless, that's helpful. But if you look at the pace form on here, this actually tells you a story as well. So it will actually tell you how the horse has run at one particular point or another throughout its career. So the P stands for prominent, and the L stands for led, and the H held up. So if, for example, we look at Ewell Place, which is going to be the second favourite, or it should be, at the 3 o'clock at Ayr, you can see here prominent, led, prominent, prominent. So you can see prior to that it was held up a bit, but they've obviously changed style in the last 5 races or so. So you can see here the pace rating is a 10. So it's basically saying we expect this horse to be at the front. So if you're using a strategy where you're doing a back to lay, that would be the horse to choose out of this race. That seems pretty obvious. Now, you've also got the favourite as well at quite short odds, but you can also see led, prominent, prominent as well. So, perhaps maybe, one of those two or both of them. But you can also see that there are other horses here that are prominent, but at bigger odds. So it's a balance between, what the form's like and what chance the market is telling you that they've got of winning the race. So that's why I lurk at the front of the market, because it's easy to determine that something that's priced at evens is going to win 50% of the time, and the market's pretty efficient like that. So all you're looking to do is to tease out characteristics within the market itself. If you look at the outsider here, you can see that it's been held up a lot, and that's probably why it keeps ending up last, and you can see it's the outsider within this particular market. But also by clicking on Ewell Place, you can see down here it tells me a lot more information about what happened in the market. So when you look at this particular runner, you can see that it finished third, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. But look at the price that it traded at in running. Look how low it went in running. So, when I looked at this market, my attention was immediately drawn to this horse, simply because you can see that it's got the characteristics of something that likes to front run. Horses are pack animals, or herd animals rather. So, some horses will like to lead from the front and others will be happy to follow somebody else. So the jockey will know that and will run the horse according to those characteristics. And in the early part of the career, they may try both to see which it prefers, and then the jockey will say, well, you know what, sir, this is what I recommend with this horse. It seems to prefer this. But you can definitely see here that Ewell Place, has traded at very short odds, has not won, and this would be a good candidate for a back to lay. So, using form does give you an insight into the market that stats alone cannot do. But the point I'm trying to get across here as well is, if we look at another race today, we will not see anything like this. So you just wouldn't do the race. You don't know how it's going to pan out. You've got nothing to base your judgment on, so you don't do it. Simple as that. But you can put as much or as little as a sport into your trading as you wish. Now, I come from the background of not knowing anything about horse racing. But that's fine, because generally 90% of the stuff that I do is before the off. And I've, developed over time in-play strategies and things that are of great interest to me. And then as I dug down deeper and deeper, then that led me down the form route, which is quite logical. But, for example, I don't look at this and make a judgment on what's going to happen before the off. I'm not interested. But certainly if you're going to do something in running, and if you're going to deploy some of the strategies that I've showed you lately, then this is the sort of tool that would be very helpful to you. So the video that I did, I've written a blog post about it and an article for Betfair and for Racing Ahead magazine, basically lays out a number of ideas and ways that you can deploy this. But essentially, this is the sort of thing that you can do. If you apply the same strategy across the entire card today, there's going to be some races that it works in really well and some that it just doesn't. But the reason for that is form and the way that the race is run. So it's important that you have a good look at that. And if you're going to deploy certain strategies, you can turn what's a break-even strategy into a profitable one simply by applying more layers of information, which is exactly what I do. So anyway, I thought you'd be interested to see that. Proform is a really cool bit of kit. Plenty of information out there, so I suggest if you're going to try and find a profitable strategy, you use it. If you're interested in learning more about BetAngel, its tools and the opportunities they present, why not visit betangel.com today to download a free trial.